Much to discuss in this one. Georgia with a 24-14 win over the South Carolina Gamecocks, who came out about as ready to play as possible. Georgia's coaches got to do a better job of getting this team ready to play. That's number one. South Carolina is always going to be prepared to play against Georgia. It's just what it is. Georgia, keep sleepwalking and see what happens. You're going to lose games, and I don't think Georgia deserved to lose this game today, but they certainly made it as hard on themselves as possible as you look through things. A couple other things, you're going to have to make a change at field goal. Something's not right there. Peyton Woodring, you just can't give away points. I mean, he's missed several field goals lately. It's not working, and that's going to have to get a lot better. And he wouldn't be missing that field goals if you were kicking extra points. So that's a problem. That's just, too many missed field goals at this stage. 2 today, 1 last week. And Georgia's racking up yards, y'all. I mean, here was the drive chart for Georgia. Field goal, punt, field goal attempt missed. That took the air out of the stadium. Halftime. That was the first half. They had 4 drives. And then they went touchdown, field goal attempt, which missed and virtually would have put the game away. And then touchdown. And then punt, and then the game was over. So, South Carolina started off fast. Spencer Rattler really played well, and then he regressed to doing what he does, which is, trying to do too much. I mean, I think that for South Carolina, they ask him to do too much. That's my opinion. I'm not a football coach. I don't, Shane Beamer, I guess, is, forgotten more about football than I'll remember, but I can talk about football. And I know this. I mean, the guy is a good quarterback. He's gotten better at South Carolina. But the problem is he just does not have a lot around him besides Legge. South Carolina really fought tonight, and they played well, and they lost. I mean, I know a lot of South Carolina people, they'll be pleased with this result. They'll try to give their Georgia buddies grief. I mean, my buddies don't, we all play sports in college. We know what this is like. But there's nothing good about this for South Carolina. I mean, they're looking at 1-4 square in the face. So, they got the momentum. The first touchdown was a big deal. I mean, they ate up, 5 minutes of the quarter just with that. I mean, both teams only had four drives total in the first half. And so, Georgia just gave away way too many points. And then things settled down. I mean, Georgia definitely proved out to be the better team, no doubt about it. The rushing yards, I mean, this is what, it's hard to be Georgia without running the ball effectively. They had 189 yards rushing. That's a lot. And they only gave up 300 total yards of offense against the South Carolina team that they nearly held Spencer Rattler to 50% completion rate. So, and I really thought he played well. I'm just going to say that again out loud. I mean, I thought he really played well. Mikael Williams said the guy was a dog after the game in the most complimentary way. But, Georgia, much like Florida State today and Alabama today, this is not going to work moving forward. And they need to be more explosive on offense, although 458 yards in league play is a lot. I mean, they had 29 first downs. That's a lot of yardage. But you got to score. You got to score touchdowns. The field goal thing, I would let that marinate for a while and figure out what you're doing. But it's not, what's working right now is not working in the games. In practices, it may be one way, but it's not in the others. And, Carson Beck, I think today showed fire and spark, and he helped them win today. I mean, the 27-35, yeah, but for 269 yards, did he outplay Spencer Rattler? I mean, I guess he did. It just didn't feel like it at times because Rattler is like a one-man carnival back there. And South Carolina just could not. They just could. If your quarterback is a major part of your run game, that's not great, I don't think. But he was their leading rusher today. I mean, De'Kerrion Joyner had 10 total yards. Mario Anderson had 9. Xavier Legge, he had -1. That's how South Carolina wound up with 53 yards, again, right on their average again today. I love the South Carolina faithful with their stupidity coming into these things and, you know, parsing every word I say. Hey, man, you lost. It's just what it is. It's not, I thought South Carolina played well, but they lost. Like, it's not good enough. So you either win or you don't. And they lost today. Now, Georgia, on the other hand, although they won, there's a lot of real concern right now. I mean, they're really missing Lad McConkey. Dejon Edwards looked great. Kendall Milton, Kirby said, may well have an MCL sprain or tear, whatever it is, sprain, I think. So, you know, there's problems there. Brock Bowers is more machine than man. I thought in the passing game, you know, Georgia really looked good. And I don't know what passing is and isn't. Kirby's on this whole kick about that. If he could just get us what is and what is not a pass and what is a run, he could get Claude and Leland and everybody to track that. That's fine with me. But I don't know. I thought when they threw the ball, whether it's something Kirby considers a run or not, I don't know. But when they threw it, they were very effective. I mean, if Kirby is suggesting, and he is suggesting, that a lot of these receptions are run plays, that means they nearly ran for 250 or 300 yards rushing. If that's what he's saying, and I get where he's coming from because they're definitely not. What's the word? They're not rolling offensively in the run game. Although today, much better. Look, if you're scoring touchdowns rather than attempting field goals, you're talking about 14 more points. This game is something more like, what was it, 20? So more like 36-14. I mean, are we having this discussion? Yeah, we are having this discussion because they're not scoring the touchdowns. Like, you don't sort of get credit. I mean, South Carolina doesn't sort of get credit for winning because they didn't win. Georgia doesn't get credit for scoring because they're not scoring the touchdowns. So at some point, this will catch up to them. But perhaps at some point they'll correct it. And it's it's something that they're going to have to figure out. Our friends at Ecopoly have figured out your lounge in the backyard or by the pool or at your beach house or your lake house or at your backyard, just your regular backyard. Ecopoly, chairs, swivel, table. They got Jenga sets, which is something we're going to show y'all here soon. So check out Ecopoly. Get a 15% off and free delivery. They've got Jenga sets. They've got, what is it where you throw? Matt says he's really good at it. Cornhole. I want to see Matt in one of those Jenga competitions. So for our friends at Ecopoly, obviously helping us out this season. And Georgia's, so watching Florida State today, not impressive at all. Like, it wasn't good. And I have to say that's several quarters of Florida State football where you're like, so not great. Georgia today, certainly these first halves are becoming an issue. And then what starts happening is, like, everybody acts like it's like a real thing, and it could just be something minor that gets corrected quickly. I don't know. I had to sit down. I'm exhausted. I wish I did have an Ecopoly chair right now. At least I could rock in it. But the fact of the matter is that they're not scoring in ways they need to. Now, they did explode today. They had the 14 points. I mean, that didn't end the game, but they had several opportunities to end the game. Even late in the third, it feels like. Let me check the box score. I really, after games, when you're me, it's hard to remember every single thing that happens on the field. Yeah, I mean, they were up 17-14. You're not ending the game like that, but it was, if you're just even converting field goals, this is a there's too many missed things, and that's the mark of a team. Like when you are going 13 plays for 72 yards, and then you go 12 plays for 64 yards, those should be touchdowns. And Georgia missed field goals on both of those. That's 14 points that you missed. They won this game by 10. That makes it a 24-point game. I mean, I went to DeKalb County. I'm doing the math in my head, school in DeKalb County. So, not even – and let's just say you knock in the field goals. You're going from a 10-point game to a 16-point game. There's nothing to discuss in the fourth quarter. So Not there yet. Not that anybody thought I would come in on here and say that. Not there yet. Not at all. And they need to play better. Now the defense, I thought Spencer Rattler did a really good job tonight. I mean, he did play well. Second, I think it was 16 of 18 at the beginning of the game, and I have to go back and do the math a little bit more to just see what happened in the second. But he was not as precise. He's gotten better. Period. He just has. Now, again, I say that I think they're asking him to do too much. Carson Beck, I thought tonight was really good at times. I thought that he just missed some touchdowns. And I said to him, I said, is it a big problem that you're just missing? And he didn't think so. I'm not as sure that my opinion shares his. I think you want to start hitting those balls. The thing about Georgia's offense last year was it was not a struggle. It was easy. I mean, now it was not easy against Missouri. It was not easy against Ohio State. And to some degree, it was not easy against Samford. And, there were times, certainly against Kent State, it wasn't real easy. I think it feels like it's not real easy right now because they're not scoring touchdowns. You start scoring touchdowns, this is a very different conversation, period. But you don't get them unless you don't get the points unless you actually score. I think the defense could play better, I guess. I mean, they did not allow South Carolina to run at all. And Spencer Rattler was hot, and then he wasn't. So I don't the second touch, the interception for Rattler, I mean, I didn't think that was a big deal, but he really competed out there. I think he has gotten better, period. Legge is really good. And South Carolina really, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad, but I think the problem is they're probably going to lose a few more games, and this record's not going to look so hot. But the South Carolina's coaches did a better job than Georgia's at the beginning of this game, period. They just did. South Carolina was ready to go. They drive the field, score a touchdown. I mean, like there was the crowd tonight. Kirby thanked them. I'll be more real with y'all. I thought the crowd was fine. I didn't think it was some sort of elite thing. I mean, I think that the crowd wants more too, and I think the crowd deserves it. To be honest with you, I mean, if you're going to get around here and if you're supposed to be a big deal, play like it all the time. And I thought the crowd was fine. I didn't think it was anything crazy, and yet South Carolina had 11 penalties. 11 penalties, y'all. That's just several of them were false starts or procedural penalties because of the crowd, and I didn't even think the crowd was that bad. Okay, so we'll see. I mean, I think next week, you want to see 21 points in the first half. If you're not getting that, then it's like, what? Man, these guys are going to have to grind it out every single game. Yeah, they might. They might have to grind it out every single game. It's just what it is. I mean, you don't have to win national championships any particular way. There's no rule. There's no, we got to do it like this. No. You can go play defense for 15 times 4 quarters. I mean, you can go, you can be up and down. But generally speaking, the way you play is the way you are. And I have to say still, I'm not sure anybody's better than Georgia. I mean, Florida State, I thought, was a real, and today it's just like, geez, not great. Florida State, for the record, Florida State almost lost today to Boston College. So that was bad. We've seen LSU lose. We've seen Clemson lose. We've seen Florida State nearly lose. We've seen Michigan and Ohio State just not look great at times. Alabama, while I'm recording this, is up 7 in the fourth quarter at South Florida. Like, what's going on there? The quarterback's 4 of 14. Or whatever it was bad, 4 completions. I mean, a lot of people right now are figuring things out. Maybe Clemson's not out of this thing yet, although I watched them play against Charleston Southern, and it was not good either. LSU looked like they were turning the page again today against State. Georgia's got to figure out what they've got to figure out. The good news for them is, I mean, they're productive on offense. They're just not scoring. You want to be – all right, I'll put it in these terms. You don't just want to be productive. You want to be reproductive. Where's the baby? Get into the end zone. And once you do that, you're talking about very different days. You're not going to score every time you get into the, the 30 and in. But they need to be more lethal. And there's any different way of doing that. I'll let the people a lot smarter about it than me talk about that. But I don't know anything about coaching, but I know what the scoreboard says, and they need to score those points. And when they do that, people will be a lot happier. Now they're always going to be grumpy. They're always going to be grumpy. They're not when they hit red zone. They're happy then because they're spending that money, getting what they want, any type of shirt, whatever, or panoramic stuff. Scott and Minnie will say hello to you when you go in, but people that are going to red zone want to see points. They want to see points on the scoreboard, and I think that right now that's what they're missing. Because again, you score 24 points and you leave minimum 10 on the board. That's 35 points in a football game in the SEC. That you're going to win a lot like that. So this is really about closing the final gap of this thing. And when you get on the road, there's not going to be as much. It's not going to be as easy to kind of. You're not going to use your crowd. So they're going to have a real fight at Auburn. They're a lot better than Auburn is, but they were a lot better in Carolina too. And this game was way harder than it had to be. Sometimes you have to deal with these things. Florida State today bad, but that was on the road, and they were a lot closer to losing than Georgia was. But my general point is just get into the end zone and not much else to say. Thanks for watching.